So what we wanted to do for the next 15 minutes is spend a bit of time doing a bit of a run through or a role play of a value session. In the interest of time, we obviously can't go end to end of a value session. So what we will be doing is just having each of the Jameses unpack the top values cards with myself and Mark. So based on the 5 that we've seen there, we thought we'd pick those because they're the ones that you're probably going to see come through, and just have a bit of an example of, myself or Jill going through my top card, Mark going through his top card, then looking at aligning the top card between us for our household, and then just setting a progress score on that. So what I'll do, I'm just going to share my screen. I'm just going to go back to, and this is completely unrehearsed, so it should get a pretty fair.
I've had some fun with Zoom. I've renamed this Elise. 1, because I can, and 2, it'll help us get into character.
Perfect. I'm channeling my inner Jill. All right, excellent. So let's kick off. So just for setting the scene's sake, we've already gone through, we've already picked the top, my top 5, and I'll throw it over to James Williamson and we'll start to unpack.
So, hi Jill, how are you? Thanks for picking out those cards. How did you find that going through the cards? Was it something you found easy or difficult?
I thought it was a little bit fun. You had explained to me a little bit around what we were going to be doing today. I was trying to imagine it. I couldn't really, didn't really know what to expect. Had a bit of an idea of what we we're going to be doing, but yeah, I enjoyed the experience, and it definitely made me think a little bit more.
Yeah, that's good. Is this something you've not done before?
No. Yeah, okay, me and John have never come in and had an advice appointment before.
Okay, so we've obviously got those values. We've picked out the order of those now. So give me a little bit of an understanding of why that support and protect those I love stood out to you amongst all the others.
I would say that it stood out a little bit. We've got a few family things happening at the moment, health issues, things like that. So I think just because that's happening, I think, yeah, it just resonated the most.
And is that why you picked it as number 1? Did it jump out sort of more than the other 4 by a long way?
Yeah. I would just say, given what's happening at the moment, yeah.
Okay. In terms of the actual card, though, can you give me give me a little bit more detail on why it's important to you and why it sort of resonated with you?
Yeah. So similar to when we completed the Your Life survey, referring back to last time's role play. Yeah, look, my sister's not well. I just want to be able to help her. She's got small children, my nieces and my nephews. So I just want to be there for them in any way I can.
Absolutely. And I'm always trying to get an understanding, because it's a support and protect can mean different things to different people. This sounds a bit more like a support thing rather than necessarily a protect thing. Would that be fair, or are there elements to both? Do the words mean different things to you from a family point of view?
I think, that's a really good question. I think protect, I kind of think, her kids are really small.
Sure.
So it's important. They obviously don't really understand what's going on. So to protect them in that sense, like maybe emotionally. Support, I want to be there for them to help them do things around the house, maybe like financially if I can. So yeah, I think there's quite a bit going on in that. So
physically, emotionally, and financially.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. That's probably, I've got a lot on my plate. I think that's why I picked that one number 1.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. So obviously there's a fair bit there. So if I said to you, what are the key things we could do right now to, move forward or progress on that? Is there anything you can think of you could do almost immediately that would help you take that next step towards try and progress this?
I really would be able to dedicate a bit more time to help, whether that be, looking after the kids, babysitting nights, around the house. I think that would be important. Just being able to help, time financially. I think, setting more time aside would be helpful.
And that's something you think you've got the time to do. You're going to make some time to do that, you think?
Look, to be honest, I think I need to prioritize that. Probably have just been trying to do bits and pieces where I can, but I really would like to prioritize that.
So if in 12 months time, where would you like this to be? Apart from the fact, obviously, you want your sister to be in a better place, of course. Is this something that, you know, that support that you're going to give to your sister is something you want to continue down the line? Yeah,
definitely. Until she gets better, I think it's important to do that. So even if I, you know, can put a whole day away or weekends to go over to their house, or, you know, a few hours each afternoon, I think that's important.
So this might be something that we look at initially, and then we revisit down the line together.
Yeah, perfect.
Great, that's great, Jill. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. All right, excellent. So if you're happy, if I move on, James Williamson, and we'll jump into John. I'm just going to skip through. Okay. So John, then we've got James Wortley to unpack that a little bit more for you.
Hi, John. Yeah, one of the questions I asked is, how did you feel about Jill's 5 questions? Did anything surprise you?
Look, we've spoken about her sister and providing support to their family a couple times. I didn't realise it was so important to her. You know, in particular going number 1, because you know, we've got other things that we often talk about as well. So it was a bit of a shock maybe, yeah, for me to sort of know that that's the most important thing. It's not something that I'd sort of felt before.
Yeah, and this is why we love having these conversations with our clients, because they're really making sure that clients are really honest with us to have a good understanding. And what we also find is sometimes the spouses haven't had those discussions in relation to what their values are. So talking about your values, so feel confident in my finances. Why did you pick that particular card, and why is that important to you?
Yeah, I mean, going second, it feels a little bit selfish now, but for me, it just seemed like the obvious choice, James. You know, it's the reason we're here. We just want to get confident in what we're doing.
Okay. So what does confident mean to you?
Gee, I mean, isn't that what everyone really wants? You know, yeah, I'm the breadwinner of the house. So, you know, I want to make sure that we've got confidence. And to me, that just means that we can, you know, decide things and we can, you know, do things like invest the money that we're speaking about you with.
Yeah, and why is that important to you?
Yeah, we've got some important goals in our life. So yeah, I suppose
can you give me a little bit to understand what those goals are?
Yeah, well, I mean, now, you know, knowing we've got to support Jill's sister potentially, but you know, there's things for us closer to home as our family expands as well, and renovating our house. We want to do all those sort of things.
Okay, and do you have any other financial goals that come back to that confidence in your finances?
None that can really come to mind. They're the major ones for now. Obviously, you know, further on we might have some, but they're the most important ones right now.
Yeah, if I can maybe even rephrase one of the questions, like feeling confident in your finances, is there something in your life or in any of your family's lives that sort of moved you towards this particular card?
Oh, yeah, okay. When I think about it, and it's probably something I don't like speaking about too much, and Jill knows bits of it as well. But for me, you know, I lost my parents, you know, 10 years ago, and it's when Jill and I started going out, and you know, I love the life we've built together, Jill and I, but it's probably that event, if you go back, where I realized, and now even hearing Jill's response about her sister, that it's probably on me as the breadwinner to make sure that I can facilitate all the things that are important to us. I feel like that's something I need to do with Jill, because quite frankly, I've got no parents or other support system to sort of fall back on. So, that's probably what I come back to is, I've got to feel confident that I can do all those things, because if it's not me, it's bust in my head.
Yeah. And why is that particularly important to you? Obviously, unfortunately, you lost your parents, but why is that really important to you deep in your heart?
Yeah, well, they helped us out a little bit 10 years ago, and I've sort of seen them, work on their relationship and sort of build this great life up until they passed away. I want to do the same for Jill and I. And the big thing for me, and it's the reason I work so hard to get the income that I've got, is I don't want to let Jill down either. So I want to make sure that we can do all those things, and I don't have to have the awkward conversation that we can't do the things that Jill wants to do and I want to do.
Oh, that's great. And you just mentioned, your parents helped you out. In what ways did they help you out?
So we got a little inheritance 10 years ago. It just sort of helped us get into our first property together. But, that's sort of something that's always been left with me that I don't know. It's odd, but I feel like I owe them to do something with that. And now I want to transition that into my life with Jill.
Oh, that's great. And thanks for being so honest. Is now just summarising that, what do you think you need to do over the next 12 months to progress this value that you can actually really feel confident in your finances?
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, I've never really thought about it too much, obviously. But as I was sort of hearing myself, the key things that are on my mind now are all the stuff we told you we want to do with that investing of the money. So making sure that we can rent out our house and, plan to build our family. Just knowing that we can do that. And if how at risk that is will give me a ton of peace of mind. I kill myself at work day in, day out, thinking that if I'm not doing this work, then we will never be able to do these things. So just being able to be really clear that provided I can keep that income, or even at worst, I can drop income if I work less, would let me feel a little bit better about where life's at right now.
Yeah. And do you enjoy your job?
Yeah, I love my job. I wouldn't put in the hours that I do without loving it, I guess.
And your life-work balance is what you're happy with?
I don't know. It's probably a question more for Jill. I don't think. I think I hope she'd like me home more. I probably spend a bit too much time at work, but as I said, I do it for a reason, to make sure that we can do those things.
Oh, thank you. And this is what our job as a financial advisor, to be able to understand, look, this is what's really important to you, but that's our job, is to make sure, because there's a lot of goals that have just come out there when we're talking about renovations, there's investment options, having that peace of mind, which is really critical for all our clients. So that's the one thing that we can do, is actually show you this is where you are today, understand what your goals are and what your journey looks like, so we can actually help you live your best life, but then have that good understanding that you're actually on the road to what you want to achieve.
That'd be perfect,
John.
Yeah, cheers.
Perfect. Thank you. Now, we'll go through we've got the aligning, and we've also got setting the progress score. I'm just conscious of time. We might have to do this one super quick. So we will be super quick in deciding, but obviously this is going to take a bit of time for your clients. So James Williamson, I might throw it to you. Now, obviously we've sort of set some of this up. I'm just going to move that back so we actually don't have a top one.
Okay, so John and Jill, you've obviously picked out your cards. We've come together on 4 of them. We've got 1 left. What's that going to be, that top card, do you think, between you? You pick. I think I know what it is.
Well, after hearing John's story, and how much he feels pressure to, work and be the breadwinner and support me, and I feel a little bit guilty a bit. I know that I'm putting all of this emphasis on supporting, my sister with the time and things like that. John, how do you feel?
I mean,
it's pretty important.
Yeah, well, hearing yours, I don't want to feel like I'm winning, for lack of a better term, but I feel like it could stretch both both of our intents. So if you as our planner can figure out that we can do all those things, I think that'll give us joint confidence. Jill, would you agree?
I agree. Like, I kind of think like if our finances are, if we're confident in our finances and you're not feeling too much pressure to be at work, and that allows me maybe some time to take a couple of extra hours off, maybe go part-time or something, then we can kind of really, hit both of our top cards.
Yeah, I was going to say, obviously that confidence in your finance might give you that time, Jill, to you know, allow you to do what you want to do as well, which is what you obviously was your number one card as well. And obviously John's number one card was this. So trying to find some alignment on that is obviously really, really important. Really just one thing I just want, what sort of things will you be looking at to feel more confident over the next 12 months? The key things you want to say, well, if we get this right, we're going to feel a bit more confident.
Since we have never been to a financial planner before, even having like a bit of an understanding about our finances. And John, you were saying how, you know, you want to do good with the money that your parents have left us, or left you before we met. Just making sure we've got like something sound so we know we're on track. Yeah. I can spend time with my family.
Yeah, I think that's key for me. Look, I'm a process sort of guy. So if you can say to us as a result of this that we need to do ABC steps to tick all our goals, then I would say that if I can tick those things off, I'll know that will give me the sense of confidence I'm looking for, because I don't know what I don't know.
Well, that's something we can assess in that 12-month period, isn't it? We can actually go through that and say, do you, and I use the word, do you feel more confident now than you did 12 months ago? Right. Great. Fantastic. Love when clients answer their own questions.
Just in the interest of time, might just do this one super quick. James,
quick. So for you, Jill and John, a score out of 10, where do you think you are feeling with your confidence in your finances?
I don't know about you, John. I'm sort of feeling maybe like a 4 or a 5.
I was pretty low. I was thinking 4 or 5 as well. I mean, I can't tell you what I told you and say that I feel any higher than that, to be brutally honest.
Okay, and when you actually got scores like that, we don't want to take you to a 10 straight away, because there'd be a lot of things that you'd need to be able to do. So what are the couple of things that you might be able to do to feel more confident to get to, say, a 6 or a 7?
Just sorry, Jill, but for me, it's just get started. Just get started. Whatever you guys, sort of tell us at the end of this, I'm pretty keen to just get into it, really.
Yeah, so build a plan. So Jill, for you?
Yeah, build a plan and then map out, if I can, now that I think about it, take some time off work or reduce hours but just, I don't want that to impact on me and John. So I don't want him to feel like he's under the pump, so I can take some time off. So just come up with a bit of a sound plan around budget and what we can do.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, guys. So that was a very quick crash course on doing a value session. So I'll just power through just in the interest of time to give some more time for questions and answers. So as you've seen with what we've gone through and done today, there's many techniques that you can use to really uncover what that value means to the client. You've already got 2 great questions. What does that card mean? Why did they choose that particular card? We've got 3 other examples that you might want to try. What's important about X to you? What does X look like to you? Tell me more about what made you pick X. I won't go into drawing more examples from yourself, James and James, just given the interest of time. But James, you had already picked out a really good example that we had uncovered with Mark Tucci, and something that has worked with him, in the past as well, which is to really get into that deep understanding around what that value means to the client. And if you're feeling like they're beating around the bush and you're not kind of getting that response that you were thinking, you can really try that powerful question: what happens in your life or the life of someone that you care about that made you pick that number 1 or whatever card it is that they're at the moment? So we have recorded that podcast. I'll show you where you can find that at the end of this webinar. I guess one thing that I did want to quickly ask, though, in the interest of time, is that how do you know, and I'll throw this to both of the Jameses, how do you know when you have, I guess, got either when you're pushed too far or you've got that last question that, yeah, this is the goal that I was looking for?
Cool. It's really a feel thing, I think. You seem to know if someone's being honest with you or whether they're trying to avoid the question. As I say, I just try and use their own words back to them, use a lot of pausing, let them talk so we can listen, and really trying to, I suppose, re-examine the words in the card and use them in a different way back to them. And I think you then get a real sense of whether they're telling you an honest answer or whether they're just skirting around the outside.
And as financial advisors, we do really well. We read people well when we're actually talking to them. We always know where that point is. Like for me, I do think that one extra uncomfortable question actually works really well with me. I think there's a lot more gold when you're actually just pushing that little bit more. But again, you really got to be measured in relation to the personality that you're actually talking to. But when you feel uncomfortable, if you go one more question just to ask that why, it sometimes is where you actually really get the gold out of it. So that's yeah.
And I think you've done a really great example showing how you do that when you were talking to Jack. I've got your name already. Sorry, husband.
Wow, shame of a marriage.